This is Horror Sucks, the podcast where we watch terrible horror movies so you don't have to. I'm Ashley Atkins, and I'm alone today. Carter is in Iceland, so he will not be joining me, but I'm actually not alone. I'm kidding. I have my dear friends Ian and Holly with me.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. We just watched a movie that I was very excited to watch for a long time. I'm hyped.
Yes, we are going to tell you today why Jason X sucks. Ian is a pretty decent Friday the 13th fan. He has got a special outfit on today.
Yeah, I'm rocking Friday the 13th underwear and matching very tall Friday the 13th socks. So I'm sure it's an outfit that would get me killed if I was in the movie.
Too sexy.
Yeah.
It's excellent. So yeah, like I said, Carter can't be here today because he's in Iceland, but he is like the Friday the 13th expert, so it was only fitting that we do this movie while he's not here. So yeah. All right, so how this is going to work, for those of you who are new to the show, we're going to go over the plot of the movie. We'll give you some fun facts. We'll hit you with our good, the bad, the spooky. We'll give you our overall impressions, give you a rating, and then that's it. So I will take it away with the plot. Oh, just before we get into it too, there's going to be spoilers, obviously. Also, there's going to be a lot of me for the first while because I've prepared the plot and the facts to make it easy on my friends. We did watch the movie together, so that was fun. So I'm really excited. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the series and this movie, it is part of the Friday the 13th series starring Jason Voorhees. And if you don't know Friday the 13th, the original movie is a mother who's distraught over her son's death murders a group of teenage camp counselors who are trying to reopen Camp Crystal Lake where her son died. And then the follow-ups are Jason, the son who supposedly died, didn't die, and he has a deformity, but he watched his mother die and he avenges her death. And he kind of just goes on a big old killing spree. That's pretty much all you need to know. But in this movie, Jason goes to space. But before we get there, we find Jason in a warehouse where he is chained and tied up and getting ready to be frozen. He's gonna be frozen. I was gonna try and say the word, but I really can't.
Cryogenic stasis.
Thank you,
They throw it around a lot in the first 15 minutes.
They do, but they say it so fast. So they're gonna freeze him to contain him, basically. But then another doctor comes in and says, no, we want to study him. And they're like, how are you gonna do that? Like, he's gonna go off on a killing spree. He manages to escape, but one of the project managers from the freezing lab traps him in a cryogenic freezer, but he stabs her through the door and the air from the chamber gets out and freezes the whole room, including her. And then we fast forward to the year 2455. Previously, the year was 2010. And now we're in 2455, and a group of
weird scavenger folk in like gas masks and lab coats.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a professor with students.
Like archaeologists.
I guess so, yeah, they're kind of like that, but they're looking for things they can sell. So this group comes in and they find this chamber. They find the woman and they're like, we can revive her. This is great. They find the man or they find Jason and they're like, oh, he's gone. He's dead, which is weird to me. I didn't quite understand it, but I think they just got no life signs from him when they did a scan because it's the future.
The future. But they take him anyways, which is kind of really odd. They don't even like strip the body. They're just like, all right, cart him up. Yeah.
There was a great scene where there was like a stupid younger kid in this group and he opens the door and Jason, because Jason's frozen but he's holding his knife, he tips over forward and just chops the kid's arm off. But because it's the future, they manage to reattach it.
I absolutely loved that.
So now Jason and the woman Ronan are on the ship and they manage to bring Ronan back to life and they're like, hey, you're in the future. And she's like, okay. She doesn't really have much of an opinion about it.
She does say, what happened to Jason? Like, is Jason still in there? And they're like, oh yeah, totally. And she doesn't question it more.
They're all very nonchalant, whether it's with Jason or without. And then since they marked Jason for dead, they have one of the female scientists on board, and she's like doing kind of an autopsy, I guess. She's studying him, but he manages to wake up. They say that he regenerates. He doesn't just, he's unkillable. He regenerates so that he can't be killed. He wakes up and he sticks the blonde scientist's head in like a sink that has freezing water, I guess.
It was like full of preservatives. Like, it was kind of icky. She like took off his mask and like was removing his like eye and putting it in there, so we saw it freeze.
Yeah, so it's like a weird water that preserves things by instantly freezing them. And he sticks her face in there, and then he shatters her face by slamming it on the table. First kill of the movie. Oh, actually, technically not. He killed a bunch of people in the lab, but first kill on the ship. So then he kind of gets out and starts chasing them all down. They're all running around and getting scared, and they all just keep getting picked off one by one. They have like a grunt crew that does all of their like defending, and so they all suit up, and there's just a really long scene of him picking them off one by one while everyone's in the cabin trying to figure out what to do.
Honestly, like the bullet points of the plot, it's just a lot of him walking around the ship killing anyone he finds.
Yeah, so we can fast forward to the end. It's a really short plot because it's just him walking around killing. So they're all getting killed. Eventually, though, to try and stop Jason.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, the fake Andrew Garfield. He takes his robot girlfriend and makes her into a badass, like, killing machine.
Like, she walks out with a leather suit on and, like, those bullet strap shoulder things across her chest. And he says something real casual, like, I gave her an upload, as if we're supposed to know what that means. And she just starts blasting Jason.
Well, she has, like, a great fake out where he, like, throws the knife at her and she's like, oh, I've been hit, and, like, falls to the ground, and we're like, damn, that was fast. But then she's like, as if that would work, and whips it out and blasts him and, like, really destroys him and basically fights him until it tears him apart. And they're all like, great, we can go now.
But it turns out that Jason's, like, shreds of a corpse are on top of the operating table where they revive people from cryo, like our 2010s girl from the start. And these little ants, they call them ants, are like, oh, new body detected, and they just start walking up, and they're like rebuilding him from the ground up to create Jason X, like in the title.
Yes, or as others call it, Ultra Jason.
Ultra Jason.
He kind of looks like a cross between Jason and the Terminator. That was the vibe I was getting.
Yeah. And what I thought was super weird was the ants, like, rebuild people. That's fine. I get that. They use them throughout the film. So, like, I honestly loved this scene. Like, this was good payoff.
Yeah.
But they rebuilt his mask. He has a new and improved hockey mask that's very scary. And, like, I don't know why they would do that. It gave me big Doctor Who vibes, that one episode with the gas mask child. But
honestly,
Yeah.
I put Doctor Who in my notes.
good.
Not for the mask, just the whole regeneration aspect. But yes, so he comes back as Ultra Jason, and that's when, like, all things go bad. He's too much of a match for, what is her name? KM. That's the robot's name. He's too much of a match for KM. He barely hits her and her head just flies off, and they're like, oh snap, we gotta go. So they grab the head, of course, can't leave that behind.
Well, her head
off.
keeps working. Like,
Yeah.
she's talking and, like, chatting and blinking. And
Yeah,
all that.
there's a payoff for it. Then they slowly still keep getting picked off one by one, and eventually we're down to the last 3/4. Well, 3.5, I guess you could say. The head
Yeah.
is the half. So then a shuttle comes to rescue them. It hooks up to the ship, but right as they're, like, trying to get the door open, they can't. There's not enough power to open it. So Bronsky says, okay, I'll go outside of the ship and I'll fix it. He puts on, like, a suit, heads out there, rewires all the power to go to the door, And as they're still trying to get it open, Jason finds them and shows up. They manage to like keep him out of the room they were in. As they're doing that, what's his name? Fake Andrew Garfield says, I have an idea. And he plugs in the robot's head into the computer and creates a VR of Camp Crystal Lake to distract him, which works and it helps. And we have a wonderful scene there that we'll talk about later. And they're able to get the door open, and as they're running out the door, Jason's trying to chase after them into this tunnel. It's very unrealistic. And as we see him like trying to get into the tunnel, we see Bronski behind him, pulling him back and fighting with him in his super suit, which is great. So then the shuttle starts to fly off, and as they're flying off, Jason, because he's Ultra Jason, can also fly and starts flying toward them.
I thought it was more like the ship they were coming from explodes for some reason, and he like rides the explosion
I thought that too.
in a very
maybe
green
that's what it
screened
is.
way.
Maybe that's what it is. So Jason
Flying
starts
squirrel.
floating towards them, but Bronski, his suit can fly. I think he has jets on his, right? Yeah. So he sideswipes Jason and sends him flying towards New Earth.
And we think they're going into orbit, but they end up doing like a shooting star path, and we see the last shot of the movie, two teens hanging out at a campground making out, and they're like, wow, babe, a shooting star. It landed in the lake.
Let's go check it out. And then we see his mask float to the bottom of the lake, and that is it. Good stuff. Okay.
Oh my god.
So now I got some fun facts. So Jason X was filmed in 2000/2001, but it did not premiere until 2002. It was directed by Jim Isaac, who has also directed The Horror Show, Skinwalkers, and Pig Hunt. But he's also known for his special effects on Return of the Jedi and Gremlins. And he did die in 2012 of blood cancer.
Oh.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
Right.
The movie stars Kane Hodder as Jason. He's known for his role in Hatchet 1, 2, and 3, and his role as Jason in movies 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Is this number 10?
This is number 10.
Okay, the X is for 10.
Oh,
Yes,
it's like
yeah.
the iPhone.
Oh.
Ah.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and then we have Lisa Ryder as KN. She's known for her role in Andromeda, Forever Night, and Earth Final Conflict. Then we have Lexia Doig as Rowan, and she's known for my favorite Hallmark movie series, Aurora Tea Garden Mysteries. It's like the only Hallmark movie I watch with my mom. And she's also known for The Arrangement, also Andromeda, and The Continuance.
Continuum? Yes.
I guess, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Continuum.
Continuum.
I don't know.
We record it and you can cut that part out.
I've already said continuum once. It's fine.
Okay, you'll just
Alright.
put it in.
Mhm.
Nice.
I can cut that. Or Carter will probably leave it in because Carter's editing.
Rude.
That's fine. You can do whatever.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Todd Farmer as Dallas, who is the professor, and he's known for American Muscle, Drive Angry, and Trick. And then we have a wonderful cameo from David Cronenberg as the doctor from the opener. And he's known for Crimes of the Future, Crash, The Fly. So he's a he's a big name in horror.
Wait, he did Crash?
He did Crash, yeah.
Wow.
I know. So the budget for the film was 11 to 14 million, and it grossed 17 million. That's kind of like typical / low. Most movies are much higher. We like some of the movies that we've been looking at have been like 30 million budgets.
But-
Well, they gotta pay a whole crew and build sets and.
When we were talking about this earlier, isn't that the highest grossing Friday the 13th?
So the 17 mil is just from their theater.
Oh,
I'll get into
okay.
that.
Ooh.
So this is just what they made off of their theatrical release. It is one of the worst performing films in the series theatrically. And I'll tell you why later. It has a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes, So it is the least censored film in the entire series. It tripled sales in post-theater sales, making it the most successful movie in the series. It's also the first in the series to use digital effects for gore. It was made because Freddy vs. Jason was stuck in development. I've been calling him, but fans call him, sorry, I said Ultra Jason, it's Uber Jason. I don't know if that's better.
It's worse.
Yeah, so fans call him Uber Jason, but I like Ultra Jason better. The name came from a discarded Freddy vs. Jason script. And then I have a lot of notes because this is such a well-known movie.
There's so much behind the scenes.
They were constantly rewriting the script, and they actually like rehearsed it for a month. Yeah, they rehearsed this movie before actually filming it. And
Like a table read?
no,
Or
like
like a play?
rehearsal.
Okay.
Jim Isaac would have them tape it so he could rewatch it because he wanted the acting to be so good for some reason. And which honestly, the acting was fine. But anytime he would watch it, he wasn't sure if that was like the final script or not because they were always changing it. So presented a bit of the challenge. So like I said before, David Cronenberg has a cameo, and this was done as a favor and because he also wanted to be killed on screen. The favor was because he loaned his production company to them to use. Well, because they filmed this movie in Toronto, and he has a production company based in Toronto. And then, the chemical that they used to freeze her face, liquid nitrogen.
Oh yeah.
That is, and this is my favorite fun fact. MythBusters disproved the liquid nitrogen. Sorry, MythBusters disproved the liquid nitrogen head smash kill that we so loved.
I think it
So-
wouldn't stay liquid in the sink like that. That's like the first barrier.
I have no idea.
Maybe
But-
there have been improvements to cold juice over the next 400 years.
Cold juice. So yeah, this movie sat on the shelf for 2 years, but it was leaked online. So by the time it did release in the theaters, the fans had already seen it. So that's why it didn't perform so well. But that's why the sales did so well, because people want to own a copy of it, because they gotta add it to the collection. That's all of my fun facts. If you're still here, I know that was a lot. But now we're gonna let Ian and Holly talk while I take a sip. But we're gonna move into the good, the bad, and the spooky.
The good. Dun dun dun.
All right, Ian, would you like to start us off with some good?
Yeah. So the only thing I knew about this movie was that it was set in the future. And I think I had also seen Super Jason's face on some posters and stuff. But honestly, I liked the future setting. I thought it was unique enough and like fed to us, pretty casually, like show don't tell. I was expecting a lot worse for such a corny movie.
Yeah, I also have the setting and the concept on my list. I felt they did a good job with like the space and the future. It wasn't too far-fetched, but it also was.
They drop a lot of like little tidbits that are just really fun, and
Yeah.
like it shows they thought too much about this. They're like, the earth has been polluted for 200 years, and they say something like, oh, I remember the Microsoft conflicts where we all lost our arms.
Yeah. The other thing I really liked, kind of going off of that, I really liked the costumes. Like it felt futuristic, but also still felt very 2000s. Like honestly, you look at it and you're like, yeah, this is what the 2000s era thought futuristic looked like.
I also think maybe it's just the 2000s, but it felt appropriately raggedy for, spacefarers who don't really have a home.
Yeah. I felt that way too, yeah.
Oh, this is a slightly related good. The robot KM, who kind of looks like Miranda from Sex and the City, I think they did her really well.
Yeah.
Like from her first scene she talks kind of robotically, but like not with a. She speaks really formally, and she has a really silly haircut. And I was like, oh, I bet she's a robot.
Yeah. You get the
Like Data from Star Trek.
Yes. She just comes off like something's not quite right here, and you can tell she's super stiff. She's got like, her haircut is a bowl cut, but it like, there's these two spikes that kind of like contour her face that are like gelled there. And
I thought that was blood dripping down her face because I didn't notice it until the end.
It was there the whole time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it just was like a very ill-fitting, like poorly styled pixie style, but bowl cut.
It's a haircut that could have worked in anime, but
yeah. I think it needed minor tweaking. I also think the only reasons you think she looks like Miranda is because of the color of her hair was red, and she's got like green eyes and pale skin.
It's the fake red hair, at least.
Yeah. But it's not even the same color red.
Close enough.
But no, I think she's the best character out of all of them. Because when Rowan comes like back to life, she like makes a comment. She's like, "Oh, like you're a robot. Like that's so cool." Like, and then she made a comment that she wasn't real, and she goes, "But I am real." And it was so funny because she's just like, she's a robot, but she's got like some weird like humanistic.
It was
ideals.
Like he's like, Andrew Garfield is like, oh, and this is my robot I've been working on, and she's just standing there like silently and staring, and Rowan
like
says
stiff.
She looks so real, and then she like animates a little.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, when she's not like talking or interacting with someone, she's very like stiff and proper. Versus, when she's having a conversation, she personifies. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So the other thing I liked, I mean, it's a slasher. It's a Friday the 13th film. It's true to the style. We definitely get just all out killing the whole movie, people getting picked off one by one. So, no complaints there. I knew what I was getting in.
I think some of the kills could have been better, but I'll leave that for the bad section. I loved the nitrogen face smash that we already talked about. But, they did that right at the start, and it set my expectations way too high.
I agree with that, but we'll get more into it.
It was beautiful. When we say face smash, it was like...
It shattered.
It's like cutting diagonally from your chin to the back of your head, but on a table.
It was really good. What else? I enjoyed Uber Jason's look. Did we already talk about him?
A little.
Okay.
Only in the plot.
Oh, okay, good. I really enjoyed his look. I really enjoyed the upgrade that he got. I don't know if I felt that the robots, ants that would do that, because when they brought Rowan back to life, they didn't, make her a robot. I mean, make her a cyborg. She was still a person.
There was something on the screen when the ants were deploying that was like, like there are missing parts that will need to be like fabricated. Okay. But then if they have that, why were they like, oh, there's no bringing this guy back? Like, it seems like they can do anything. Why aren't they bringing back the people who got killed?
Yeah, I didn't understand why they felt they couldn't bring him back. But I'm glad they had the detail there if I had noticed it. I might have been writing something down in my notes.
I like the monster ship names because I'm a nerd. The ship that our main characters are on is called the Grendel, and the ship that comes to rescue them is called Tiamat. I thought that was really out of left field, but fun.
Yeah, me too. One of facts that I didn't include in my facts, but I'll say it now, is that the writer, he got a lot of the names out of the game EverQuest, so that's why they're cool, and they're based off of monsters, but they're fun.
I thought that it had good pacing. It kept the tension up the whole time. Like, I kind of drift during movies, but I was wondering what would happen and if the one character that I cared about was going to survive.
Was it the robot?
I cared about the our time woman.
That's fair.
Yeah, I agree with that. It had very good pacing. I also drift during movies, which is not a good thing for me. Sometimes when I'm doing this, Carter will bring something up and I'll be like, I don't remember that. Yeah, I completely agree. So another thing I liked too, kind of with the pacing, is like them trying to escape. I felt like they did a pretty decent job of showing them really actually putting in an effort to like see all their options and like really trying hard to escape.
Yeah, I feel like it might be kind of standard for horror movies. Like, nothing ever works on the first try.
Yeah.
But you did really see them, like, work through all their options and, like, come up with stuff. There's none of that, like, oh, what about escape pods? Because they try that and it fails and they move on to, like, plan D.
Yeah. It also just was like very, I think, out of the box thinking for them too, to like at one point to escape, the ship is like, it's futuristic, so it's weird, but it's got like two buildings that are attached in the middle. So they put bombs on those middle bays and blow them up to detach that other part of the ship that Jason is on. Unfortunately, that doesn't work, but I thought it was really cool that like that's the idea they went with. Like, I enjoyed that option, you know. I think they did a good job of like trying to escape. I wasn't sitting there going, "Come on," the whole time. A few times, but not the whole time. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Are we gonna give the one-liners their own section, or do we want to talk about them now?
So the one line for the Joseph DeStasio memorial line will have its own spot, but if you have some wonderful one-liners you want to share, please.
I do, and I hope you were thinking of these also, because wow.
Yes.
First things first, at the start of the movie, this isn't good, bad, or spooky, so I might as well just say it here. At the start of the movie, I was thinking like, okay, Jason hates premarital sex. Where are we going to get premarital sex on a serious sci-fi setting? But at the start of the movie, it's really horny. Like, all these crewmates are just hooking up with each other. And one of these is the girl with the weird vest approaches the cabin of the professor that I guess is the head of this operation with a pair of, like, metal surgical tongs and a bottle of wine. And I'm like, all right, cool. She's gonna uncork the bottle with the tongs because this is the future. But no, it cuts to a scene of like her clamping the professor's nipples while he wears lingerie, and she's like, say it. And he says, you pass.
After like moaning.
After like 5 minutes of moaning.
Oh yeah, no, he gets a lot of pleasure from it.
Oh my god.
It's so much.
It was so much. It was so out of left field.
My favorite thing though is that scene is followed by the sex robot holding up fake nipples to her boobs and going like, what about these? And the guy's like, I like you the way you are. You don't need these. And she's like, but so and so has them. And it was like, it's so funny.
I really didn't expect her to just be like holding something up. I was like, all right.
Yeah, and then she lets go and they just drop it.
Yeah.
Before that scene though, we do get a great line from two other horny teens where they're in the room with the blonde scientist and they're both like flirting with each other hardcore, and she's like, get the heck out. But before they do leave, the guy says, this guy is super quick to die. And he says, oh, he's a big boy. And then the girl says, I bet he's hung like a mammoth. And that turns him on, apparently. And they run off to go, do their thing in her room.
It's so much.
They also talk about how small Jason's brain is on their brain scan.
I think that was a joke.
I think it was real. I think they were looking at his
I
brain.
think it was kind of real.
But his head, his deformity is that his head is so big.
But his brain could be small.
Not brain.
It's full of evil. The one other one besides the line is before things really go to shit, but after Jason is loose on the ship, their plan is to dock at this space colony called, I think it's called Solaris.
Yeah.
And they really don't mention this at all. Their ship is journeying to Earth number 2, so this must just be like an along the way emergency stop.
Yeah.
But it looks pretty big and pretty important, and they're approaching, and then Jason just lops the head off of their pilot, and they drive right through it, and like the whole thing explodes, and the professor is watching it out the back window, and as the building is like crumbling, it's still up there, and he's like, it's okay, we just missed it, we overshot, let's turn around and go back. And then right after he says that, it just like explodes.
There was nothing left. There's another scene in before this when they first discover Jason. They're like, "What's that on his face?" And no one knew what a hockey mask was. And the robot KM had to explain that it was a hockey mask, which was from a sport that was outlawed in 2024. So, heads up, guys.
Yeah, your days are numbered, hockey fans.
It was the lines like your last thing you want to say, or do you have more?
I think that's it for my good.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I have so much more.
You do? All
I
right,
do.
keep going.
So I really loved the VR Camp Crystal Lake. I thought that was so fun. I thought that was really creative to kind of bring it back there, but then also like use it as a distraction. So I really liked that. There were a few creative kills that I enjoyed. I know not all of them were great, but
yeah. I was saving some of those for spooky
Ooh,
because
okay,
they're
all
kills,
right.
but they also aren't actually that spooky.
Okay,
Yeah.
I won't mention it then, but some were creative. I liked it. There was also some creative sex scenes, which I guess I can appreciate. And that's it for me. So let's move on to the bad. The bad. Holly, go ahead. Kick us off with the bad.
I felt like the filming style was like a soap opera. Like the lighting and the frequent cuts didn't quite do it.
Yeah, I agree. I also found the frequent cuts like kind of hard to follow, especially during like the big middle fight scene where he's just picking off people like one after the other.
I gotta admit, I have huge problems with the big middle fight scene. I know you guys said it was gripping, or like plot. No, not that, but like the plot overall like kept you pretty engaged, but like I totally lost attention during that because like
that was kind of the only part where I was like not super fully engaged, but I was still pretty.
The kills weren't fantastic because it was mostly Jason, like, he would just like sort of walk up behind someone and machete their neck or like snap it. But like it was kind of like Alien in that they're in dark corridors and the monster is loose on the ship. But it's Alien if I didn't care about any of the people getting killed. The monster wasn't stealthy and the kills were all the same. And I get why it had to happen, but it wasn't the best.
So I will say Alien was an inspiration for the film, or for the direction the film went in. So I'm glad you picked up on that. That's excellent. Yeah, no, that middle scene was just like, it was just kill after kill, so it wasn't very exciting except for like a notable death that we'll get to later. Speaking of the characters and not caring about them, I have the characters as my first thing on the bad. Not because they were particularly bad, there was just too many of them and it was hard to keep track. And it was really hard to follow because there was just like their names were not easy, and which, I mean, I guess it's not really an issue, but at the same time, like, there was way too many. I felt like a lot of characters got named for no reason, and it was really hard to follow them, especially in that middle scene. Towards the end, once we dwindled down to a few, it was easy.
I honestly wonder if naming all the characters was kind of a mistake. Because the names are so odd, they sort of like pull your attention to it. But then this random security guard named Gecko just gets stabbed after, 3 lines. And it's, why did I pay attention to that?
Right.
There are going to have to be characters in any slasher movie that just exist to be killed off with no attachment to them. And that's okay.
Yeah, I felt the same way too. Also, some of the characters were a little annoying.
I think, I don't know. I feel like there were quite a few shots, especially right after Jason had sort of broken out of his containment in the spaceship's laboratory, where he was just sort of standing at the end of a hallway menacingly, or where he would just sort of walk up to characters on the ship. And this is before everyone was on high alert, but they see this bloody man in a hockey mask with a machete, and they don't really react. Like,
Yeah.
there's 20 people on this ship. You see someone you don't know, you should be like more afraid, but he just walks up to two of them and kills them both without any reaction.
Yeah, I agree. People were very nonchalant at first to Jason. Also, they knew about who he was, and they were so nonchalant about it as well. Like, they found out he was Jason Voorhees, and they were like, oh, yes, we can make money off of this.
Yeah.
And people, I don't know, there wasn't really a sense of trouble until people found people dead.
Even then, it was all, the professor's friend FaceTimes him, and he's like, Jason Voorhees, you could sell him to a collector who loves serial killers.
Yeah.
And that's his whole reason for wanting to keep Jason alive. Not like they could kill him if they tried, but...
No, he was like, oh yeah, keep him alive, we can use him. Wants to make money. And then at one point, right before, Jason goes to kill him, he, tries to reason with him. He's like, we can make so much money, you can get so much money, it'll be great, it's such a good opportunity. And Jason has no need for money. He grew up in the woods, eating berries and plants.
Did he?
Yeah, once his mother died? Or once he died, he came back to life and then got to shore and hid there. And he didn't find
to eat.
What?
Does he need to eat?
Well, yeah, he ate the local plants, edible plants and
Wow.
berries.
I thought he just
I
regenerated.
thought he was a zombie.
Yeah.
In the 6th one, he's a zombie.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yes. I stopped at 5,
I
so
only saw
I'm
the
missing this
second.
lore.
Listen, I have never seen any other Jason Voorhees movie, but I did a lot of research so I would know about him, so I could...
Is number
Follow
6
these things.
Jason Goes to Hell?
I have no idea.
Okay, well that's one of
This
them.
is no. Jason
feel
Goes
like
to
that was
Hell
more
is
recent.
number 9.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because he was coming out of flames at the beginning of this one.
Oh, yeah. That was so odd.
Yeah,
The opening shot was really weird.
it was really weird.
I just want to say, speaking of all the Jason movies, while we were looking to stream this one, multiple descriptions of Friday the 13th movies referenced this being the finale or the final chapter.
Like the last 5.
Yeah.
Number 4 was the final one, and
Yeah.
then number 5 was Jason Takes Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Imagine planning to end your franchise and then immediately following it up with Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah. So good. That we'll probably do that one at some point. But back to our lovely list here. So one of the issues I have when Jason initially unfreezes, he hears voices that say kill very softly. Did you hear them?
I didn't, but I like
Oh.
that.
It was like a woman's whisper that was like kill. But it was, see, the thing is, I don't know, I wish there was more to it. The way they did it, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So
I think it was more of a nod than anything else.
probably. It didn't really read well. In concept, it's pretty good. In reality, it wasn't. It didn't make sense.
Oh, well, I don't know. Do you know that that's his mom's voice?
Yes, I picked
Yeah.
up on that. But it just was I don't know, it was only for maybe within 10 minutes it happened and then it went away.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought I have another bad.
Yes.
The gun sounds were awful. Actually, the gun sounds sounded kind of like laser tag with,
Pew, pew.
bullets underneath. And in the opening, the text was like a laboratory and so location. It felt like a laser crazed instruction video.
It
And the
did.
set for that opening area where he was first contained in the lab really looked it too.
Yeah.
Just flat,
You
like
could-
black and blue pillars, and oh god.
You could see just a bunch of people running around playing laser tag there. No, I did not like that. So another issue I had in my bad list, Jason basically was Houdini and would swap places with like victims. For example, in the beginning he's like all chained and like really securely tied up. And
Yeah.
then, you know, there's a security guard in there and he like goes up to him with a gun. And like, I don't know why he went up to him.
He throws a sheet over him for
Oh,
some
that's right.
reason, and I
He's
have
staring
no
at him.
idea. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's oh no, never mind. I'm saving that. So, yes. That's right. I forgot about that. Thank you, Holly. But then they pull the sheet off later, like 5 seconds later, and it's not Jason. It is the security guard, and they've switched places.
And was he all chained up?
Yeah.
I don't-
with like blood coming out of him.
I get that he killed him, but I didn't know Jason was dexterous enough to like work the locks and keys and whatever.
No, it was.
We never get an explanation for that.
Mm-mm. No, we don't. And then at one point, though, Jason's like swinging on a hook, and it swings back, and it's Jason, and then it swings forward, and it's a different person. It's someone else that he's killed. And I'm like, when did this happen? So he does like a little bit of a Houdini trick that's like seems pretty impossible. I mean, Jason going to space is pretty impossible anyways, but still, I can't suspend my belief for this practical thing.
Let's see. I have another very unrelated bad.
Okay, go ahead.
When our new main characters open the door to the lab
Mm-hmm.
in the year 2400, it's just full of cobwebs. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know how there would be that many spiders in this
Maybe they got frozen?
chamber containing Jason and like cryogenics equipment that has also been leaking. Like cobwebs don't just poof.
Yeah. I think they meant to like put dust there because that's what would settle, but it's hard to just relay dust on the camera.
I guess.
Instead of cobwebs. I don't know. It is bad though.
I know that's nitpicking hard, but
No, that's what we do here. So the last thing I have on my list, I'm pretty lenient today. The way that Ronan and Jason just kind of adjust to being in the future very quickly. It's just like she wakes. I think I already brought this up, but even Jason too. Like while we were watching the movie, Holly brought this point up. You know, he wakes up and immediately sticks her face in liquid nitrogen. It's like how did he know that was there? You know?
true, yeah.
And like how did he know how to get around the ship? That's my other issue.
Yeah,
I would have gotten lost.
I feel like I'm surprised he didn't get lost more. I'm surprised that they weren't able to just like lock him up and like just automatically close some doors.
He managed to get them open.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He
I
like
can't
cleaves through them.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. That's fair.
Even before he was brought back.
These are metal doors. They're metal.
Alright. And then the last thing that's on my bad list that I didn't write down was Vest Girl's death.
Oh, I had this too.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
So there's a scene where Jason like shoves his hand through the wall and the air starts like flying out of it because it's like a boundary wall. And she's stuck on this grate. This grate like flies out and like lines up at the window. And so it now becomes slatted basically, but everything's still flying towards it. And she's trying to like grab their hand to hold on, but then she lets go and she flies towards the grate and she flies through it. And we only see bloody remains that are like on this grate left over.
And just before that, it's so weird. Like, there's all these sounds of wind rushing, and it's like, take my hand, and then like everything gets quiet, and she just like looks at the camera and says, "This fucking sucks,"
Yeah.
and then flies away. And yeah, like you said, we see nothing. Like, you would think she would get like cheese grated through it, and I would love to see that. Like, it could be like, it could have been the highlight kill of the movie. Instead, we just see like some pulp on the grate. And I don't know.
All right. Do you have any more bad?
No.
Perfect.
That's it for me.
Let's move on to the spooky.
The spooky.
So my first thing on my spooky list is that Jason never blinks when we see him. And this is a fact and also like something I paid attention to once knowing it, and it is very creepy. And for a movie that's not like super spooky, like things are gory but they're not spooky, that to me was something spooky. How about you?
Yeah, I didn't notice that. I didn't honestly think it was that spooky, but I think the kills can count as spooky. I loved the cryo face smash that we already talked about. There was another kill, the highlight of the scene where he's stalking the security team in the vents, the alien bit, where he knocks some guy off a catwalk and he lands on a big like mining drill that was face up, and it stabs him through the torso, and then he spins down the drill.
It just was.
It was so satisfying.
Threaded.
Yes, perfectly threaded.
And then of course there's another person that walks by and they're getting a call and like, "Hey, have you found this person yet?" And she goes, "Yeah, he's screwed." It was rough. I also have the blonde scientist getting her face frozen, but the way her face freezes I felt was really spooky.
Oh, I
Like,
forgot about that.
She looked like Jack Frost.
Yeah.
like,
We get a really cool shot of her from like the bottom of the tub looking up. And you
Yeah.
can see her face like her scream freezes and like crystals form on her eyelashes.
Her whole face crystallizes
Yeah.
eventually. Yeah, it's such a good scene. It was spooky looking. I really liked that. But the last thing is, honestly, this is more of just like a jump scare that actually didn't scare me but got me really good, is Jason when he stuck his hand through the wall with the scene we were just talking about. Because they're like, "Okay, let's go home. We did it." And I was like kind of fully expecting that was it. But then we just get right through the wall. And the dramatics of that, plus like all the wind just immediately everything just starts getting sucked out. I found that a little spooky. Like, I actually did kind of like leading into that.
My last spooky was, I honestly forgot that this movie was Jason X and that there was a super Jason at all. So I was really shocked when he was resurrected and roboticized
Yeah.
at the end.
That was good. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the Joe DeStasio memorial quote. If I can find it. I wrote it down. Let me set the scene for you. This is during the ending when they create the VR Crystal Lake, and they have to insert a distraction, so they insert a couple of co-eds camp counselors that are young and hot, and they specific to the time period of 1980, which I thought was funny, but they give this wonderful quote to distract Jason. Holly, do you want to read the quote?
I would love to.
You gotta give your best sultry co-ed voice.
Hey, want a beer or want to smoke some pot? Or we could have premarital sex. We love premarital sex.
Excellent.
It was
Perfect reading.
so good.
Oh,
It was
so good.
my favorite part of the movie.
As soon as they say we could have premarital sex, they also whip off their shirts and then say we love premarital sex, and it was great.
They say the last part in unison too.
Yes, yeah, they're kind of like going back and forth with it, and then in unison they say we love it. Oh, it was such a good one. Okay.
Also, though,
Yeah.
I was waiting because I didn't want to spoil that bit at all. But my actual favorite scene in the whole movie is it shows Jason like eyeing them, like he's gonna mess them up, and then it cuts back to our main characters. He's being distracted, and when it cuts back to him, he has one of them in a sleeping bag in his hand and the other in a sleeping bag on the ground, and he's like using the first one in the bag like a bludgeon
I didn't
on the
realize
second.
that. I thought they were having lesbian sex in the sleeping bag.
No. Oh no, because they aren't screaming or anything, they're holograms, so they're just like, oh
They're just like, ow.
I thought
ow,
they were like making out and not even getting phased by they were
by
in love.
Jason beating
Yeah.
them.
No, he's using one in a sleeping bag to kill the other in a sleeping bag. Then when the first one on the ground is dead, he takes the other and just smashes it against the tree. Oh, it was such a good scene.
It was so fun. Oh my god.
Okay. Ian and Holly, what are your overall impressions? Not your ratings, your impressions.
I think it was a little goofy. It was just kind of far-fetched and silly, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I was here for the goofy, so I honestly had a great time, and I still really like how decent the setting played out.
I think there were a few things for me that were questionable, but I still really enjoyed this movie and kind of mirror you guys. I liked the goofiness of it. I liked the dramatics of it as well. Okay, awesome. Let's move on to our ratings. Do you guys want to go first?
I rated it 5 out of 10 Tick Tick Booms in honor of the guy that looks like Discount Andrew Garfield.
Nice.
I rated it a solid 6 ants out of 10.
Nice. Okay, I gave it a 7 nippleless tatas.
I thought of doing that.
My original one was going to be medical nipple clamps.
Oh my god.
Because that scene was just too good.
It was so much.
Oh man. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here and keeping me company while Carter's in Iceland. I'm so glad we were able to do this. And for our listeners, thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard today, please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. When you review the podcast, it helps us get noticed and we get more listeners so we can do more for y'all. So next week, Carter and I are doing the movie we mentioned last week, and I can't remember the name of it, but check that one out if you check last week's episode for that movie. Again, thank you so much for listening, and
Stay spooky.
Perfect. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.
Is it homophobic to say lesbian sex?
No,
Sex?
it's a fact.
They just happen to be
Oh wait, I have one more thing to say. That's saying it, I hope you know. No, it's not homophobic. It is.
It's fine.
They just happen to be lesbians. It's okay.
Horror Sex is brought to you by Wild Thing Media. Production and music are done by me, Ashley, and editing is done by Carter and sometimes me. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.